Uh, we have a just basically solve question, right? It has 3 different denominators. Now, we do question 20. Problem with question 20 is it's usually worth 15 marks and the denominators aren't the same. So what you do is you rewrite your full question, you put your denominators in brackets, and you sort of extend the gap between them a little bit. Now, you look left and right, and what you want is the denominators to be exactly the same. So you start off with the x minus 1. It looks to the right. What 2 denominators does it see? It sees the 2 and the x plus 2. So what you do is you add them in extra on the bottom. Okay? And if you add it in extra on the bottom, you add it in extra on the top. Okay? Then you go again. You go left and right again. You use the x plus 2 and you look left and right. And what does it see? It sees 2 and x minus 1, which makes it multiply by 2 multiplied by x minus 1. And then on the last side, you look left and right again, and what you see is x plus 2, x minus 1, x plus 2, x minus 1. For the most part, you've actually passed the question already. Yeah, but you've actually passed the question. Okay? So, want to do more than pass, you cross off the bottoms. Now, when you multiply the top, a lot of errors kick in here. Okay? Now, what I want to tell you is this: only multiply 2 of them at a time. 2 by 2, 4 multiplied by x plus 2. Just start there. Now, see the minus here? That minus technically belongs to the top. So it's actually technically a minus 1. So what's minus 1 times 2? And by doing that, you're preventing that error from kicking in. And finally, do I ever have to multiply anything by 1? No. So if I did, I'd multiply 1 by x plus 2, and it's still x plus 2. Alright, so I'll just keep it like that for a second anyway. So it's going to be x plus 2 by x minus 1. All I've got to do next is finish off the job. 4x plus 8 minus 2x plus 2 equals minus 1x plus 2x minus 2. Now, you're at the stage where you see a x squared, yeah? Bring everything to one side. If you can't do it, use the minus b formula. If you can't factorize it, use the minus b formula, okay? So what we're going to do is this, guys. We're going to get I'm going to move everything to, I'm going to tidy up first, to be honest. Minus 1x plus 2x is plus 1x minus 2. On the other side, I have 4x minus 2x is 2x. A plus 2, 10. Going to bring the 10 and the 2x over to your side. 0 equals x squared plus 1x minus 2x minus 2 minus 10. 0, yeah. Minus 1x minus 12. And then I can put the equals 0 any side I want. So as an example, 7 equals 5 plus 2. But if I actually put the 7 over the other side and just rubbed out that side there, it actually makes no difference, does it? So I'm going to do that trick there. I'm just going to put that, just going to move the 0 to the other side. Don't have to change any signs or anything like that. Okay. Then I'm going to, you can solve using the minus b formula. I'm going to use the minus b formula because I want everybody to know, be safe for this exam. So a equals 1, b equals minus 1, c equals minus 12. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'd usually do it in the reference number, but I'm just going to do the minus b form this time. Okay, what you get here is this, guys. Minus b, if b is minus 1, minus b is plus 1. Plus 1 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is minus 1 squared, minus 4 times 1 times minus 12. Please make a note. The letters never make it in there, do they? You never see any x's in there, you never see any letters in there. When you do the minus b formula correctly, you'll only have numbers. Now the next biggest mistake, and I get this every Christmas, 6th-year Christmas, and I get this, is that people will try and do this all in one go. You'll try it all in one go, and it isn't going to work. So can anybody tell me what you do first? square root first, alright? So you really zone in, and what you zone in on is the you zone in on this part here, and that's the only part I'm going to put in. Okay, so when I do that, I press square root. Now we had this thing. If this was a complex number question, what would happen? Do you remember? Sorry. In a complex number question, you get maths error. Why do you get maths error in a complex number question? It's a minus root. So, as an example, this is plus 1 plus or minus 7 all over 2, which is great. If this is a complex number question, you'd find that it's a maths error, probably because it's something like the square root of minus 16 or something like that. Can anybody just tell me off chance what is the square root of minus 16? 4i. You just square root it like you normally would, and just put an I at the end. But for this question, as it turns out, it's just the number 7. So you're going to have two answers. You're going to have 8 over 2, because 1 plus 7 is 8. Or you're going to have 1 minus 7, which is minus 6 over 2. And your two answers are 4 and minus 3. I just wanted to practice it, just in case. So if you're stuck, you find you're not able to factorize well in the day, minus b form will get you there. Reference number gets you there a lot faster though, okay? Now, next type of question is the inequality. The general rules for inequality are it's the same as equals. So as an example, if I had a 2 plus 9 is bigger than 10, you'd agree with that, yeah? If I move the 2 over the other side, it's going to be 9 is bigger than 10 minus 2. You'd also agree with that, wouldn't you? What happens if I multiply both sides by minus? What happens then? Because minus 2 minus 9 is, and minus 10, minus 2 minus 9 is smaller than minus 10, so you have to reverse the sign. So long story short, when you multiply both sides by a negative number, what happens? It's got to switch around. Okay, so here's what we're doing here. Looking at question 10, they needed a common denominator. What's the common denominator we should use? 10. So multiply this one by 2 and the other one by 5, and the 10s will cancel. And we'll get 6x minus 5x less than or equal to 3. X is less than or equal to 3. X element R, what does that mean? Real numbers, what does that mean? Real numbers, I'll show you three different answers, okay? The first answer is it's a real number. Real numbers include, when it says R, it means decimals, fractions, negative numbers and positive numbers. It means every number you can think of. Okay? So what happens here is when it's X, you start with 3, 2, plus 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2. It goes downwards. And why am I shading in the line? Why am I shading in the line, guys? Because all the numbers in between are also included. Now, if I came back and gave you a different question, and my different question involved x element z, how would you do x element z? Anybody? You just dot them. Because x element z means positive and negative numbers, but no fractions, no decimals allowed. And finally, if I gave you the third variation of that question, which was x element n, how would that affect the answer? You're not allowed 0 and below. So your only answers would be those ones there. Is that okay? Great. Now, oh yeah, well, this is important. Okay. These type of questions here. Okay, guys? These type of questions here. What happens with these questions is that if I gave you something on a really easy level, if I said 2 to the power of x equals 2 to the power of 7, what would you tell me that x is equal to? 7. If I said 2 to the power of x equals, I don't know, 4 to the power of 7, could you say x equals 7? No, what's the reason? Why can't you say, why can you do it for the first one, but you can't do it for the second one? Sorry? The base numbers are the same. So to do these questions, you always have to make sure that the base numbers are the same. When they're not the same, it means you can't say that the powers are equal to each other. The powers are the small numbers that are in yellow. So the yellow parts will equal each other when the base numbers are the same. So with these questions, and the most popular type of leaving cert questions of this variety is, we're not going to give you the same base number. Okay? So what you do is this. You go in, you write down your first number, you check out which of the base numbers is bigger. Which base number is actually bigger? 8. Go to your calculator. Press 8 equals, see this button here, fact. Yeah? Shift fact. 8 is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. Quickly change 8 into 2 to the power of 3. So we've just changed 8 into 2 to the power of 3, and what we still have on the outside is 4 over 3 there. Okay? Now there's three basic rules you need to know. Here's your 3 basic rules right now. First of all, can anybody tell me what x2 multiplied by x3 is? These are all on page 20 of your tables, by the way. x5. Can anybody tell me what x2 to the power of 3 is? x6. How would you remember the difference? One of them has 2 base numbers, and the other one has 1 base number, 2 powers. Got it? Okay. And what about the next one, guys? What about x7 divided by x4? x3. In cases like that, you take them away. So what we have here is, we're looking at this one, and we have 2 powers, but we have only 1 base number. So what do we do? Do I add them or multiply them? Multiply them. 3 times 4 over 3 in your calculator. You won't take any risks. No point. And you'd get 4. You have all the time in the world, right? 2 to the power of 4. Now what can I do? Yeah. 5x equals 5x equals 1. Now, the questions get a bit more difficult when you go to the likes of part C. Part C looks ridiculously hard. But what you can do is, there's 2 ways of doing it, okay? There's a complicated way, where what you do is you look at 8 root 2, and you break 8 root 2 down. You change 8 into 2 to the power of 3. You break, what's root 2, can anybody remember? 2 to the power of a half. You add them together to get 2 to the power of 3.5, which is 7 over 2. Don't forget the square on the outside. And what happens when you have a square? Yeah, 2 to the power of 7. I'd advise you how to do that, but you may get lucky, and there may be a much easier way. I'll show you the other way. On any given day, you should test this out. Just put that into the calculator. Okay? Squared, that is. Put it into the calculator. It's 128. Then go shift fact 2 to the power 7. There's no doubt which way is easier. But what I can't do is, I can't guarantee you that will work every time. That's the only thing, okay? If there's a square root sign in there, it won't work. Okay? So, either way, 2 to the power of 3x plus 1 equals 2 to the power of 7. And then you say 3x plus 1 equals 7. 3x equals 6. X equals 2. We cool with that? And that's a wrap.